Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this series, we are working on the Lab 6 Implement Traffic Management Student Lab Manual. This lab, I found it on GitHub from Microsoft Learning. I really enjoy doing these labs. So in the previous last 4 videos, we have already completed our network topology. And this one, we're going to implement the Azure Load Balancer. So let's just get to that section. And over here, what we're going to do, we are just going to create a load balancer. That's where we're going to start. So I'm already logged into my Azure. So let's just load balancer. Let's just go there. And I don't have any load balancer, so just create one. And let's create a new resource group this time. So create new. Let's create a new one. And the name of the resource group, we already got this. And the name of the resource is just going to be the LB4, and I'm going to still use the EastWest for my deployment, and I'm going to use the standard SKU for the lab. And load balancer, you typically you can use the public app. You can also use an internal load balancer. For this one, we're going to use a public IP. Our load balancer will have a public interface, and then let's kind of go hit. So you can see right here some of the options has possibly changed. Okay, so let's just click on front-end IP configuration and add a front-end IP configuration, and this is where you need to put this. So public IP name is going to be this, and IP type, public IP address. I don't have any in here, so let's see. Public standard create new. Uh, so name is this IPv4 IP type, public IP address. So create new. Let's do that, and so this is the public IP address name. I don't know if I can have both of them. It looks like I can. SKU standard tier. No, there's like no zone. We don't need no availability zone. Let's just see this. Try using this and hit OK. And what we'll do next, create review and create this time. Backend pool. We didn't configure really the backend pool either. Do I need to? I might. Let's see. Go to resources setting in the backend pool. Click add. So you typically configure a front end and the backend for a load balancer. Here, let's add a backend pool. So what do we have here? Here we are going to name this as the backend. So the backend, and the virtual network is going to be the VNet 01. So that is where we're going to place our load balancer. IPv4 is IPv4, and virtual machine IP address. Let's just add, and this one is going to be 1060.04. 1060.04. Let's just use this one. Okay, and then hit add. So that should take my machine, and over here the other thing that we need to do is let's hit add over here, and then let's see, hit next. Inbound rule, I don't think I need to do anything. Outbound rule, I don't need to do anything. I'm looking for the health probe because we need to configure the health probe. Alright, I think I'm pretty good. Just to review what we have here. So we are naming this as a load balancer, and on the next IP configuration, we have a FE for front end. For the back end, I have FE for the back end. Okay, and what we have done on the back end, we have used the VM0 as our back end. That's what we have used. And actually, you know what? I don't even think that I need the back end. So what they're saying, first just use the front end and then review and create and then configure the backend. So I just get rid of the backend for now. So I only thing that I have done is I have the front end IP, and let's just do review and create and see if that works. Okay. So we're only creating the front end when we are creating the load balancer. Okay, let's wait for a couple of minutes. And as soon as this is done, we're gonna go to the resource, and from the deployed resource, we'll do the backend just to be consistent with the labs. Here's we go. So now we have it. So here again, I have front end. Here is my back end. So let's just do the backend configuration from here. So backend pool name, uh, this from the lab. Then virtual network, we're gonna put it on the virtual network 1. And what we'll do, we are going to add the virtual machine, which is the VM0. This is the one. This is going to be in our backend pool. Okay, and we are also going to add the VM1, both of them. So pool, you'll typically have more than one, and hit add. So that is going to put both the virtual machines in the back end of this load balancer. Okay, so if you see 60.0.4, 60.0.4, and 60.0.1, 10.60.0.1, both of them are added. So once that's done, what we'll do, we need to add some health probe. So most of the front end and the back end load balancer, they work on some rules. Like the health probe is one of them. So if the health is found to be unhealthy, so the load balancer knows how to send your request to some healthy nodes. That's the goal. So let's just give it a second. All right, so we are this backend pool is now deployed successfully. So what do we need to do next is to add the health probe. So let's just do that. And in this one, let's add the health probe. I'm going to call the health probe as this. And the protocol is TCP. We're going to look at port 80, interval every 5 seconds, and unhealthy threshold every 2 consecutive failures. And we're going to consider that as unhealthy. And click add, so that will add that health probe in our load balancer. Let's see, so it is done. So the next thing that we need to do, add a load balancing rule with the following setting. Okay, so we need to add another one. So this is click on another one, and this time we're going to call it LB rule 1. So that was HP1, and this one LB rule 1. IP version. Okay, where am I? At a load balancing rule with the following. Wait the help probe, the settings section, click the load balancing rules. Okay, let's go back over here one more time. Okay, so let's see. So so this time actually we're gonna go to the load balancing rules. So we did add the health probe. Now to the health probe, now we have to add the load balancing. A little confusing, so just please be patient. Over here, we're gonna add it's the IP4. Front end IP address we already created. There is only one. It's coming from the load balancer, so we got that one. TCP port is 80. Backend port is also 80. So 80 backend pool we already created, and backend pool I have the backend BE1 and the health probe. Let's see, health probe. We called it. Sorry, let's just do that. This one first. This one we got it. Now health probe is the HP one that we created. Let's get that one. Session processor. There are multiple different type. Right now, I'm just gonna go with none. Um, and you can read more about it. Session processor specify the traffic from a client should be handled by the same virtual machine in the backend pool for the duration of a session. None specifies that successive requests from the same client may be handled by any of the virtual machine. A client IP specified the successive requests from the same client IP address will be handled by the same virtual machine. And client IP protocol specifies the successive requests uh, where did it go? From the same client IP address and protocol combination will be handled by the same virtual machine. Just know that if I say none, there is no session persistence. So you could, once you request something, you are going to go to one virtual machine. When you asking for the second request, it will just go to the other one. Now idle timeout 4 is fine, and the TCP reset disable and floating IP is also disable. So let's just do add. So what is a good thing about the whole portal interface is the blades that you have. These are kind of the steps that we have gone through. So once you have a load balancer, you gotta create the front-end IP, back-end pool, then the health probe, and the load balancing rule. All of that you need to configure. Now let's see. We have done wait for the load balancer rule to be created. Click overview and note the value of the IP address. So let's just go over there. Now let's see what is the IP address that I have in here. What is my IP address? Where do you go? My IP subscription standard. See more. I'm just gonna. It should be under the front ends. If you don't see it, yep. As you changes the portal configuration, okay. So click on see more maybe, and there we go. Ah, so copy that one and let's just put it in a notepad. Okay. So we got that one. Now start another browser window and navigate to the IP address you identified. So let's just go over here, put that IP address. Let's see what happens. And it says, hello world, AZ104.06 VM1. So that request actually went to VM1. Okay. Open another browser window, but this time by using in private mode to verify what the target VM changes. So let's just go and open an in private one. Go to the same IP address. So I'm gonna go there one more time and look at that. Now it's telling me, hey, now the connection is from the VM0. Okay. Uh, so there we go. So that's the end of this lab. So which this proves that we have installed the load balancer successfully, and it's diverting traffic equally. The first traffic going to VM1, the second one to VM0. So if I try to go there one more time, refresh, this one might go to VM1 as well. So it still went to VM0. So from here, let's try where it goes. So now it's going to VM0. So you gotta go and refresh some because yeah, as long as your whole health probe is good, you could be directed to any other virtual machine. Okay, so give it a shot. But we are pretty much done with our task uh, 5. So let's meet in the next lab where we're going to implement the Azure Application Gateway. Now we are moving to layer 7, and let's finish up the lab. Thank you.